On Sunday, April 30th, come out to see history come alive on the roads of southern Rhode Island. You'll see magnificent examples from the dawn of the motoring age, the youngest 116 years old, as they make a magnificent sight motoring from Newport to Bristol and back. The second annual Audrain Newport Newport Veteran Car Tour, presented by Bonhams, will leave the Audrain Automobile Museum on Bellevue Avenue Sunday morning and return Sunday afternoon. Watch your local news outlets for the route or go to audrainmotorsport.com to learn more. We'll see you here Sunday, April 30th.
If you love classic cars, then Donald loves you.
The car I'm driving right now is a 1903 Winton 24 horsepower toy tonneau. And the Winton story is a wonderful one. The company founded in 1898. They quite famously sold one of their early cars to a customer, a Mr. Packard, Mr. James Packard, who was somewhat disappointed with his Winton and went to the factory to complain about that, and was told, as Ferruccio Lamborghini would later be told by Enzo Ferrari, that his car was a perfectly good car, so if he had a problem with it, maybe the problem was with him. So Mr. Packard went on to start his own car company and to build his own cars. So we have a disgruntled Winton customer to thank for the start of Packard motor cars. But nonetheless, this is a terrific car. Powerful, comfortable, and when you think about these early cars and the impact they had on society, it's just a wonder to be able to drive in 2022 a car built in 1903. This example is also a wonderfully original example of the car. It has been restored, but so many original components. The chassis, of course, the body, the mounting points of the body, all the original hardware. It's so exciting to see. And it really brings us back to the wonderful days when this car was created by craftspeople. And the Winton, of course, is also quite famous for a number of other reasons. The first cross-country drive was made in a Winton. The delightfully named Horatio Nelson Jackson drove his Winton across the country from San Francisco to New York on a bet that I think it was a $63 bet, and it cost him many hundreds of dollars to actually win his $63 bet. But he also proved something very, very, very dramatic, that the car could be used for more than just a town toy. And again, it's something extraordinary for us to think about today, when we take for granted our use of the motor vehicle. And a vehicle like this also showed the great pace of progress from the first spindly horseless carriages of the turn of the century. Just a few years later, you could have a car this big and comfortable with all this wonderful weather equipment for cruising in. When we began the Audrain Newport Newport Veteran Car Tour, we had in mind the idea that people would get to use these cars in a meaningful way on the road, and hopefully spread some of the love of these things to a wider audience. Piloting a vehicle like this today is a great pleasure because you feel like you've accomplished so much. And again, thinking of the ability that early drivers had to travel so much faster than their fathers and certainly their grandfathers ever did is is just a remarkable thing. It is such a joy to be in this car and to drive along these beautiful farm roads, much the way they might have done when this car was new. Of course, I'm driving on a nicely paved tarmac road, which of course they did not have the luxury of doing when this car was new. But you can still get a great sense of the feeling of freedom and performance that you get from handling a car like this. And Winton, the engineer, was also incredibly clever in the way he built his engines and the way they operated. However, that cleverness wasn't really equal to the pace of development in the automotive field, and unfortunately, the company would disappear in a relatively short time. But what Winton has left behind is a legacy of engineering excellence that sparked the imagination of all of the early automobilists and certainly captivated a nation. People often ask, so why are you so crazy about these cars? It's the true measure of involvement that you have when driving a veteran car. There's nothing automatic, there's nothing you take for granted. The controls, the ride, the handling, the experience. You are above nature and yet still in nature. And it's such a wonderful thing. It's hard to believe that 12 years after this car was built, James Packard would reveal to the world his magnificent Twin 6. But that's a story for another day. And right now, the speed and comfort of this Winton 24 horsepower toy Tonneau is a pleasure to revel in. When you have veteran car events, they're always a festival because you get great like-minded people who enjoy the challenge of not conquering these vehicles, but mastering these vehicles. And I admit that I am still in the student phase of mastery, but it's an engaging course that I'm embarked on. I really am so excited about the opportunity that I have to live in history driving cars like this. And it excites me as much, I say, to drive this car as it does a 2022 car. And in some ways excites me far more because I know that at the end of the drive I will have accomplished something so great and formed a direct link to millions of people hundreds of years before me. And I just love that feeling. It's one of the great joys that I get as an historian to enjoy motoring in this way. Such an incredibly neat experience. And I hope as many of you as possible who are watching this video one day get the chance to experience this, because it is quite unrepeatable. And I have to say that I think it's a unique feature. Now, I know it's a unique feature of the Audrain Museum Network, the fact that you get to see cars like this, 1903 Winton, in action on the road, as well as a 2022 McLaren or a Porsche. And that's only true here. So if you like these videos, you like the range of what we do, be sure to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that bell icon to be notified when we put up new content, because you don't want to miss things like this. This is history alive, and I love it.